So today our topic is NP completeness. Okay. So before that, before going to the NP completeness, we have to think about what is the meaning of NP. Generally, whenever we talk about NP, in our mind it comes that it is non-polynomial, but actually it is not non-polynomial. Okay, the term NP is not stands for non-polynomial. So we will discuss what is NP, and after that what is the NP completeness, and obviously we will go for an example to discuss. Okay, right. So before that, let us, why in our computer science and engineering, or maybe in any section of computer science, uh, we can divide our problems into two categories. One is decision problem and another is optimization problem. Okay, decision problems and optimization problems are very clear to us. Decision means we are having a problem, we have to check whether it is satisfiable or not. That means whether it is yes or no. No. Optimization means there are a number of items or something, and we have to go for an optimized solution so that the profit or loss or whatever the output must be optimized. Okay. So we are having two different kinds of problems that can be solved by applying the computer algorithms. One is decision problem, another is optimization problem. Okay. So similarly, one thing we can also do that any optimization problem can be converted to the decision problem, just like say knapsack problem. Okay. Already we have discussed the knapsack problem. So knapsack problem means we are having n number of items, n items, and if we consider the 0 1 knapsack problem, then either we have to choose one element or we do not have to choose an element. And after selecting some of the elements from these n items, we have to check whether the profit is maximized or not. Obviously there will be some capacity of the knapsack, say n. So we know this problem as the knapsack problem, which is optimization problem. It can be converted to a decision problem by considering, let I1, I2, In are the elements that we have selected. Some of them are 0 and some of them are 1. So it's an instance of any knapsack problem. Now if we check whether this is maximum, then it will be a decision problem, right? So whether it reaches to maximum value or not, yes or no. If yes, then okay, it is optimum value. If no, then it is not optimum. So this optimized problem or optimization problem can be converted to decision problem. So in general, we are having two different types of problems. One is decision problem and another is optimization problem. Okay. Now let us consider some kinds of problems. Okay. The first thing comes to the researcher, the first thing comes in the mind of the researcher by this halting problem. Okay. So this is a very well known problem, and this was suggested or derived by Turing, the halting problem. Okay. What is the halting problem? Halting problem says that is it possible to say for a given program, say P, with a set of inputs, say alpha or instance alpha, for a given program, a program is given and a set of input is given, is it possible to say that whether it will go to an infinite loop or not? That means whether the program will halt for the instance alpha or not. This is known as famous halting problem. Okay. So if it is to derive that whether for this alpha, this program P will halt or not, that is very easy, because we will execute this and we will check. But the thing is that whether it will go for infinite loop or not, it is not possible to check. Why? Because let at the particular time for this alpha P stops. Okay, but if it is goes to infinite execution, then we cannot say that after this time it may stop. We do not have any problem. So actually till now there is no algorithm to solve this halting problem, and this type of problems are known as open problems. Okay, till now there is no solutions to solve this halting problem. This is known as open problem. Okay, now from here people started to think that is there any other kind of problems, or is there any other kinds of solutions? Then we found two categories of solutions. Okay, just like this. Let we have to select an element I whether it belongs to a set of n elements or not, which is known as searching. Okay, the problem is searching an element I whether it belongs to a set of n elements or not. So we know that it can be solved by following this process that we are considering an index k that is equals to k is I equals to 1 to n. If ak is equals to I, then we can say that yes, success, or print the value of this ak or something. Okay, so here we know that this kind of solution is present here. Similarly for sorting, we know that this kind of solution is present here, right? So some algorithms or the solutions are present for a kind of problems like this. Now the question is that whether these solutions are effective or not. Already you have discussed what is the meaning of effectiveness. Effectiveness in terms of time complexity and space complexity. So here whatever we will discuss will be based on the time complexity of the algorithm, right? Okay, so we have to check whether the solution is effective in terms of time complexity or not. So whenever it comes to the point time complexity, we have to find the time complexity of the algorithm, and we have to check whether there exists any better algorithm for the same problem or not, right? Okay, now how to say that this is not best or not better or worst or something, some conclusions we can draw. Here you see, we can say that any algorithm is acceptable or acceptable if the time complexity, or in other terms we can say that worst case time complexity is order of n to the power k. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? N is the input size and k is any value. Okay, so we will say that an algorithm is acceptable if the worst case time complexity of the algorithm is order of n to the power k. That is our general view, or whatever we have learned till now before that. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is, you see, n to the power k is a polynomial of n. N to the power k is the polynomial of n. So therefore we can say that a polynomial time algorithm is acceptable to solve a problem, right? So we will say that a polynomial time algorithm is acceptable to solve a problem. Now there are something different types of solutions. Let like this. for a particular problem, let there is a problem, let's search it. Okay, the problem is searching an element whether it is present in the list or not. Then one thing we can do, that we can go for searching all these elements one by one. First we will check this, then up to n. If the element is present, we will say that yes, the element is present in the list. If not, then we will say that it is a failure. Okay, and hence the element is not present in the list, that we can say. Next, we can go for another kind of approach, right? What? Okay, here the time complexity of this algorithm is order of n. Worst case, we are talking about the worst case time complexity is order of n. Now we can go for another kind of solutions, right? Hope you can remember that during our discussion in randomized algorithm, we say that there are some kinds of algorithms, randomized algorithm, where we may not get the correct output always. Okay, here you see, let this is 1 and the last index is n. Okay, randomly if we select a value, say anything, let m is a random value within the range 1 to n. Okay, any value within this range. Now if we check if m is equals to I, the item, given item, if am equals to I, then success. Okay, if not, then failure. So what we did, randomly we have selected one element from here and let it matches with this I, then we will say that it is success. Otherwise, failure. So what we can do, if the element is present and randomly we have got that particular index here, and if these two matches, then we can get the success. But the thing is that this is one kind of solution. But the problem is that though an element is present, say 8 is present here, and we are searching whether 8 is present here or not by following this type of algorithms, let the random selection of this m is this index, right? So though 8 is present in the list, but we will not get the success. So sometimes we may get the correct output, sometimes we may get incorrect output for the same problem and same instance of input. Therefore, we cannot always say that this kind of algorithms will always give the correct solution. At the same time, we cannot say that this kind of algorithm will always give the incorrect solution, right? So here we have got two different kinds of solution. One is deterministic, another is non-deterministic. Got it? So deterministic means in each step for the same instance we will get the same output always. Here for the same instance we may get different output for the same problem and same input. Okay? Therefore, we have got two different kinds of solutions. One is known as deterministic, another is known as non-deterministic. Okay? Hope this is clear. So, just like problem, here we had decision problem and optimization problem. Similarly here in solution we are having two kinds of solutions, different types of solution. One is deterministic and another is non-deterministic. Okay? One is deterministic and another is non-deterministic. So here deterministic means for each and every step we will get the same output, and here for the same input we may get different output. We may get different output. So sometimes we may get incorrect solution here, and here always we will get the correct solution. Okay? Now what is the need of non-deterministic solutions? Will come. So up to this, I think is it clear? There are two different kinds of problems. There are two different types of solutions for every problem. Okay. Now we may say that why these non-deterministic types of solutions are different. Okay. Before that, I think we should go for one example for non-deterministic approach of let sorting. I think it is required so that we can be clear about that what is the actual meaning of non-deterministic algorithms. Okay. So in short form, let we have to sort an array of element 1 to n. Okay. Right. So what is the deterministic approach? Deterministic approach is that first we will go for checking the value for I equals to 1 to n and for j equals to I to here n minus 1 here I. Okay. So if we will compare ai with aj, we will compare with ai and aj, and if ai is greater than aj, obviously the position of ai will be after aj. Therefore, we will compare this and we will swap the position of ai and aj. And if we go on continuing this process, after a finite number of execution, what we will get? We will get a list in sorted order. Okay. Now let us go for a non-deterministic approach for the same. Okay. How? So non-deterministic approach says that let we are having an array B of same size of A. Okay. So let this is a given array 1 to n, and let this is output array B 1 to n. Okay. Right. Initially all the values of B will be equals to 0. So we will initialize the B array, output array, as 0, and A is the input array. Right. Randomly we will select a value I from or within the range 1 to n. Listen it very carefully. I is a random value selected within the range 1 to n. Right? Now, if bi is not equals to 0, if bi is not equals to 0, we will say that our algorithm fails. Okay? So here failure means algorithm fails. Later I will come that why. If bi is not equals to 0, we will say failure. Else what we will do? Bi is equals to here let us consider k equals to 1 to n. Okay, we will go for executing this. Bi is equals to a k. So what we do? K is equals to 1 to n. That means we will select a1, a2, a3, a4 up to an, and I is randomly selected element from the range 1 to n. If bi is not equals to 0, we will put that bi equals to ak. So suppose k is equals to 4. Like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This value. Let this value is 15. Okay. And I is randomly selected this. Let this is 7. Let this index is 7. So here initially all these values are 0. Therefore bi is equals to 0, not failure. So therefore b7 will be equals to a4. That is, this value is 15 now. Right? In the next, let k is equals to 2. Oh sorry, k equals to 5. Let this value is 20. Okay. And I equals to random 1 to 7 n. Again let this is 7. Let Therefore, what will happen if B7 is not equals to 0? Yes, B7 is not equals to 0. Why? Because already we have placed one input there. So if this is equals to not equals to 0, failure, your algorithm will stop. Now say this is not 7, let this value is 9. Okay? So 7, 8, 9. So here this 20 will be placed here. Okay? So in this way, let for all the values k equals to 1 to n, we have not encountered any failure. Let then what will be the situations? All the value of a randomly being placed in B. Okay? If this is false for all these values k equals to 1 to n, let. Okay? Then we will get the elements of A will be placed in B in this way. Then what we can do? If we check that for all let I equals to 1 to n, Bi is less than Bi plus 1. If for I equals to 1 to n, what you can say n minus 1 up to. Okay? So if for I equals to 1 to n minus 1, if Bi is less than Bi plus 1 for all the values, what does it mean? It means that B1 is less than B2, B2 is less than B3, B3 is less than B4 and so on. If this happens, then we can say that this is success. That means all the values are in sorted order. If not, then failure. We are not thinking about the failure. Okay? We are thinking that if this is true, let for a particular instance this happens, for a particular instance this also happens. Then we can say that our array A can be sorted as this. Okay? Now here the time complexity will be less than the previous one, the deterministic one. So in deterministic approach, the time complexity to sort an array, the worst case is order of n square. But in non-deterministic approach, the time complexity is order of n. Okay? So I think now this is little bit clear that what is the difference between deterministic and non-deterministic. In the non-deterministic approach, for a particular set of instance or input, we may get the correct output, we may also get the incorrect output. So we cannot guarantee for a correct output always. Okay? So we have understood, I think we have understood that what is deterministic and what is non-deterministic. Now we can say that why this is required, why the non-deterministic approach is required. Now let us think for some other kinds of problem. Let we are having a x1 or x2 and x3 or not x4 like this. Say this is a Boolean formula f. Okay, let this is a Boolean formula x1 or x2 and x3 or not x4. Now if we say that find a set of input such that f is true, that means find a set of input for x1, x2, x3, x4 so that the output of f is 1, true. Is it possible to find in polynomial time? Polynomial time means the algorithm whose worst case time complexity is order of n to the power k. Now think about, x may have two values, x2 may have 0, 1, x3 may have 0, 1, x4 may have 0, 1. If there are n inputs, input means variables, then how many different combinations we may get, right? Yes, the approach is that we list out all possible combinations of x1, x2, x3 and x4, and if this is the n variables are there, then we will go for all different possibilities of x1 to xn, each are having two possibilities, so we will get 2 to the power n different possible combinations of x1 to xn. Now if we put all these values here, x1 or x2 and x3 or not x4 and dot 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 dot, so and after that if we go for checking whether this is true or false, then we have to go for 2 to the power n number of executions. Obviously this is not polynomial time. Okay, so therefore this problem do not have, till now this problem do not have any polynomial time deterministic algorithm. Now what you can do, we can try for non-deterministic approach. How? Randomly we will select a value of x1 among 0 and 1. Similarly for x2, let 1, let 0, let 0, let and so on. Okay? So randomly by selecting some inputs for x1 to xn, okay, we will put this value here in this equation and check whether f is 1 or not. If yes, then success. We can solve the problem. If not, failure. Okay. So in non-deterministic approach, actually non-deterministic approach gives us the solution for the decision problem. So that means we will have one instance or input this, we will check whether it satisfies the formula or not. If yes, then fine. If not, then failure. Okay. So this problem is known as satisfiability problem. Okay. Actually, this is known as formula satisfiability problem. Later I will come with some other kind of satisfiability problem. Okay. Similarly, let there is a graph like this. Okay. Question is that is it possible to find a path? Is it possible to find a path where each vertex will be traversed once and only once? Got the problem? Is it possible to find a path from here where each vertex will be traversed once and only once? This path is known as Hamiltonian path, and the cycle is known as Hamiltonian cycle. Okay. There is some another kind of similar type of problem which is known as Euler path. So Euler path says that to find a path where each edge will be traversed at least once, the vertices may be traversed more than once. Okay. So the Euler path problem can be solved in order of E, this complexity. But till now there is no polynomial time algorithm to solve this Hamiltonian path problem. Okay. So here again what you can do, we can consider an instance, okay, a set of inputs, and we can check whether it is touching all the vertices once and only once, right? So there are different kinds of problems where till now we have not got any polynomial time deterministic algorithms, and we have to based on the non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm. So what we have got? We have got the problems which are having sorry, deterministic polynomial time algorithms, and there are some problems which are having non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm. Okay, right? So the solutions of the problems can be categorized like this: deterministic polynomial time algorithms, non-deterministic polynomial time algorithms. Here we are not saying non-polynomial. Okay, non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists just like the satisfiability problem. We are not saying that there is no deterministic polynomial time algorithm, but we are saying that yes, there are non-deterministic polynomial time algorithms, and we are in search of finding deterministic polynomial time algorithms. Okay, so in Venn diagram we can represent this as like this. Say this is the set of all the problems that can be solved in deterministic polynomial time. Okay, P is the set of problems where deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists, right? Now we are having another class of problem which are known as NP class. NP means there are few problems where the non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists. So here obviously the problems for which deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists, they are having non-deterministic polynomial time algorithms also. Therefore, P is a subset of NP. Now, there is a very vital question, and that was given by Thomas Cook. This is known as Cook's theorem. The question is that whether P is equals to NP or P is not equals to NP. So that means, can we say that P is this or P is a proper subset of this? Till now we do not have any answer for this question. Okay, again. So it has been said that if we can solve the problem, we will be able to find the solutions for all kinds of problems where the non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists. So the people are in searching of P, this question is whether P is not equals to NP or not, right? This is known as Cook's theorem. Oh, sorry. So we are having this. Okay. So here we can say that searching, sorting all these presents. Here we can say that Hamiltonian cycle, Hamiltonian cycle, then satisfiability problem, all these exist. So here we do not have any polynomial time deterministic algorithm till now. Okay. Then the question is that if suppose this type of problem is given and you have given to find the, suppose the question is that write an algorithm to find the solution for Hamiltonian cycle. Okay. So whether we will go for searching the algorithms or first we will try to go for classifying the algorithm or the problem, that whether it belongs to class P or it belongs to class NP. If we can classify the problem, then obviously we will not waste our time to finding or go for unnecessarily finding the solution which belongs to class P, right? So before going to find the solution of a new problem, it is always better to go for finding the class of the problem. After that you go for finding the best algorithm, right? Okay. So till now we are having some problems which belongs to class P, and we are having some problems that belongs to class non-P, and till now P is a proper subset of NP till now. Okay. Then what I can say? Suppose we can say that let satisfiability problem that we have discussed, that a formula is given, formula satisfiability, formula is given whether a particular instance can be found so that the formula is true. Okay, we have got that the non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists for this solution, so it belongs to here. Now suppose a new problem L1 comes to us. That means L1 is given, which is a new problem. Now before going to find a polynomial time deterministic algorithm for L1, we can try to find the class of this problem. How we can say that this belongs to P or this belongs to NP? Okay, if there exists a class P solution, then automatically we will be able to find this by the nature of the problem. But if this polynomial, deterministic polynomial time does not exist, then how to say that it belongs to NP, right? So we can say that if it is possible, think about, if it is possible that the problem set somehow can be reducible to L1. What is the meaning of this? L1 is a new problem, set is known to us, and this set belongs to NP. Set belongs to NP, we know, and if it is possible that the problem set can be converted to the given problem L1 in or by using a deterministic polynomial time algorithm. Think about what we are saying. A new problem L1 is given to check the class of the problem. If the problem set can be converted to L1 by applying a deterministic polynomial time algorithm, then we will say that set is reducible to L1, right? So we will say that set is reducible to the problem L1, right? The thing is that whenever set is reducible to L1, we can say that L1 belongs to another class which is known as NP hard. Okay, so what is this NP hard? This class says that if we have a solution for set, if we have solution means deterministic polynomial time algorithm for set, immediately we will have the solution for L1. Okay, so we can say that L1 is as hard as set. So if we have a solution for set, we have a solution for L1. If we have a solution for L1, we have a solution for set. Okay, so we say that this is NP hard class. Now it is not possible that all the problems of NP belongs to NP hard. It is not like that. So some of the problems in this world are NP hard. Okay, just like we can say the problem of halting problem. this is as hard as to find a solution of SAT. So there are some problems in this world, okay, which belongs to NP hard, right? So we can write like this. So all the problems here are as hard as SAT problem, right? So within that, within this class, some of are having non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm, and some of them are do not or they are not having any kind of solution till now. Just like halting problem, there is no such solution for solving halting problem. So there is not deterministic, not even non-deterministic. Deterministic and non-deterministic both are not present to solve the halting problem. So halting problem can be said that they belong to here. Okay. Similarly, here in NP, this class is defining the decision problem. Think about that. Non-deterministic means we are just considering one instance or the one input, and we are checking whether it is giving us the true value or false value. So all the problems belongs to NP are decision problem. But NP hard may contain optimization problem also, right? So NP hard is containing all the decisions problem, all the optimizations problem, which can be solved if we have a solution for SAT. Got it? So therefore, till now we are having three different classes. One is P class, deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists. One is NP class, non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm exists, and this is NP hard. Okay. Now there is an intersecting point here between NP and NP hard. This is known as NP complete class. Okay. So this one is our target. Our topic was NP completeness. So here we can say that the problems which belongs to NP hard, that means we will have a solution if we can solve the problem SAT, right, in or by applying deterministic polynomial time. And they are having a non-deterministic polynomial time algorithm till now. So a problem, any problem, let L, here I am writing L, a problem L belongs to NP complete, okay, NPC, or you can write NP complete. A problem L belongs to NP complete if and only if, number one, L belongs to NP hard. In other words, we can write SAT, or later we will find some other problems, is reducible to L. Next, L belongs to NP. That means the problem L is having a non-deterministic polynomial time solution, right? So a problem L belongs to NPC if and only if these two exist. Clear? I think the NP completeness or the definition of NP complete class is clear to you, right? Okay. So in the next we will go for an example to prove that a problem 3CNF SAT problems belongs to NP complete class. Okay, I think up to this there is no problem.